In this video, we're going to look at object-oriented concepts from the point of view of the Java tutorial. If you want to take a look at the Java tutorial, feel free to do so. It's a great reference that I highly recommend. However, you should be warned that the Java tutorial is notorious for simply presenting some basic ideas and then all of a sudden going into way too much detail on a topic that you may rarely use. The trail this material is taken from is a good example. It's taken from the subtrail Classes and Objects in the trail Learning the Java Language. Most of this trail is fairly straightforward, but if you start getting into the nested classes subtopic, you can quickly get bogged down into some complicated material. Anyway, let's move on. An object has two parts, state and behavior. In Java, fields represent the object's state, and methods represent the object's behavior. This is Java's terminology, and you should know it. Another way of saying the same thing is that an object is made of data and the operations that manipulate that data. Whatever terminology you use, you should know that the values in the fields of an object represent its current state, and that the methods of an object can be used to potentially change that state. Here's a more concrete example. This bicycle object has three fields: miles per hour, revolutions per minute, and gear. Currently, this bicycle is going 18 miles an hour, 90 revolutions per minute, and is in fifth gear. The methods in this object are change gears, brake, and change cadence. Notice that each of these operations can modify some portion of the bicycle's state. Here's the code for the bicycle class. The fields are cadence, speed, and gear. Notice that the fields are all private, as typically should happen in a Java class. The methods are change cadence, change gear, speed up, apply brakes, and print states, all public methods. Here's a bicycle demo class that uses the bicycle class to demo how you can change a bicycle state. Feel free to implement this class in your IDE and run it to convince yourself that it works the way you expect it to work. We'll go into detail about inheritance later in the course, but here's a quick example of how one class can inherit the fields and methods from another class. A mountain bike, a road bike, and a tandem bike all inherit their fields and methods from the bicycle class. Within each subclass, those fields and methods can be added to, or they can be modified. For example, a mountain bike object might introduce a field called seat height to its state and add a method adjust height that will enable you to modify it. When one class inherits from another class, it uses the keyword extends, as you see here. This is the interface of a bicycle class. The interface contains just the signatures of the public methods in the class. An interface never contains fields. We'll see later in the course how the same interface can be implemented in two different ways, but still have the same functional behavior. That means that if you swap out one implementation for another in your program is still going to do the same things and nothing's going to break, but its performance might differ. For example, it might do some things faster and it might do other things slower. Here's an implementation for the interface we saw in the previous slide. Acme Bicycle implements bicycle. It has everything a class needs in order to create objects. It has fields and it has bodies for all the methods that are declared in the interface. Okay, that's a quick overview of classes and objects from the Java tutorial. In the next video, we'll take an in-depth look at a rectangle class.